So yesterday we divided by long division. Today we're going to divide by synthetic division. It's a much faster way of dividing, but you can only do it when you have a linear factor that you're dividing by. So our first example has us dividing negative x cubed plus 4x squared plus 9 by x minus 3. So what I want to first do is I want to write out my coefficients of the thing I'm dividing. So I'm going to have negative 1, 4. There is no x term. So what I'm going to do here is write a 0 for a placeholder and a 9. Then the next step is to draw a large L. So what I do is like this. Then my next step is to change the number inside, change the sign of the number in the divisor and then move it over. So this is my divisor. Okay, so the opposite sign of that 3 is a 3. Then what I want to do next is bring down the first number inside the L. So this negative 1 is just going to go straight down right there. Okay, my next step, I'm going to move the paper up just so I can write the next step and then it should still fit. So what I want to do next is I want to multiply the number outside the L and the number I just brought down. This gets written under the next term. So I'm going to multiply 3 and negative 1, and this is going to give me negative 3. My next, I don't know why I can't count though. My next step is to add down. So 4 minus 3 is going to give me 1. 3 times 1, oops. I wanted to write the next step first before I started doing it. So I'm going to repeat steps 5 and 6. So I am going to take that 1 that I brought down, and I'm going to multiply by it that 3. I write it under the 0. Then what I want to do is I want to do 0 plus 3, which gives me 3. I'm going to take that new 3 I got, and multiply by the 3 out the front. That gives me 9. 9 plus 9 gives me 18. So a few things to note. This is 10. This number right here is our remainder. And then what I want to do is, remember when we were dividing with long division yesterday, that we would write our x terms, they would go down in power by 1. So because I divided x cubed by an x, this exponent is going to count down. So I'm going to have an x squared, an x term, a constant, and a remainder. So my remainder is what I divided by, the x minus 3. Then the numbers that go in front of these are the numbers that I didn't underline. So I'm going to have a negative 1 out front, a 1 right here, a 3, and the remainder goes here. So I don't have to write out all of those ones. I could just have x squared plus x plus 3 plus 18 over x minus 3. When I do long division, all of the exponents count down, and then I pair them back up with the numbers from the synthetic division. So okay, then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for number 2. So this one wants me to divide 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5 by x plus 1. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write those coefficients out. I have 3, negative 2. I'm missing an x term, so I write a 0 as a placeholder, minus 5. I draw the L. Then I want to change the sign of the number I had. So it was a positive 1. It's going to turn into a negative 1. My next step is to bring down the first number, so the 3 just goes straight down. Then I want to multiply that 3 by the negative 1 to turn it into a negative 3. I add that to the negative 2. I get negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 1 gives me positive 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 times negative 1 gives me negative 5. And negative 5 plus negative 5 gives me negative 10. Then I want to go ahead and write this out. So I'm going to start off with one less exponent than I had before. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 5x plus 5 plus negative 10 over x plus 1. So once I got my x squared, I just started counting down on my exponents until they went away, and I had my remainder. Okay. We can also use synthetic division to evaluate for a specific value. We can do this by, so when it says to evaluate, that is going to be our number on the outside. And the key phrase here, evaluate, means our remainder is going to be the answer. So everything else is just like synthetic division. What I want to do first is I want to go ahead and write my coefficients of my numbers out. So I have 5, negative 1, 13, and 2. This negative 4 is going to be my number on the outside. Actually, I wanted that to be in red. Then the first step I do is to bring down that 5. I want to do negative 4 times that 5, which gives me negative 20. Negative 20 plus negative 1 gives me negative 21. Negative 21 times negative 4 gives me positive 84. 13 plus 84 gives me 97. 97 times negative 4, I'm going to use my calculator here. It gives me negative 388. And 2 minus 388 gives me negative 386. So this is my answer, the negative 386. Okay, so what I'd like you guys to do is take a minute, pause the video, work on the 3 practice problems on the back, and then when you're ready, hit play, and then check your work with my answers. So here we go. Here is one for us to solve. I'm going to start off by writing out my coefficients. I have negative 1, 3, 1. There is no constant, so I want to replace that with a 0, and then draw the L. Then I want to change the sign on this negative 2 to be a positive 2. I want to bring down this first number, which gets me a negative 1 right here. Then I want to do negative 1 times 2 to get negative 2. I want to do 3 minus 2, which gives me 1. I want to take that 1 and times it by 2 to get 2. 1 plus 2 gives me 3. I'm going to take that 3 and times it by 2 to get 6. 0 plus 6 gets me 6. Then I'm going to take a look at my highest exponent, which was 3, and I'm going to go 1 down to get x squared. And then I'm going to pair it with that number from out front. So I have negative 1x squared plus 1x plus 3 plus 6 over my my divisor, so x minus 2. I can also rewrite this just so I don't have those there. So I have negative x squared plus x plus 3 plus 6 over x minus 2. I can do the same thing for number 5. So I want to start off by writing my coefficients out. I have 3, negative 7, 6, and 8. All of these ones were here, so I don't have to replace with a 0. Then I want to change the sign of the number I'm dividing by, which is negative 1, and I'm going to turn it into a positive 1. My leading coefficient just goes straight down, so I bring that 3. Then I want to do 3 times 1, which is 3. Then I have negative 7 plus 3, which gives me negative 4. I want to multiply that negative 4 by 1, which gives me negative 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. Then I go back and write it into my actual answer form. I'm going to have 3. My exponents count down, so instead of cubed, it's going to be squared. Then it's going to be minus 4x plus 2 plus my remainder over my divisor, which is x minus 1. Number 6 wants me to use synthetic division to evaluate, so this means all of my coefficients get written down. So I have 4, negative 2, negative 5, 11, then I write my L. When it gives me an x value, this goes straight in for the outside number. So negative 2 goes right here. Then what I want to do is I want to bring that 4 straight down. 4 times negative 2 gives me negative 8. Negative 2 minus 8 gives me negative 10. Negative 2 times negative 10 gives me positive 20. Negative 5 plus 20 gives me positive 15. Then I have negative 2 times 15, which gives me negative 30. Negative 30 plus 11 gives me negative 19. So my final answer here is just the remainder, which is negative 19. Okay, what I'm going to show you next is how I would recommend writing synthetic division in Canvas. I would go ahead and come up with your table. So, oops, I wanted one more row. Add a row below. So what I would do is I would highlight these, and then I would go down to Cell Properties. And if I go to Advanced, I can go to Border Style, None, and that'll hide them. Then I would type my number that I want on the outside here, which would be a 3. And then I would type all of the numbers I want. So 1, 6, -21, -18. I made an extra column, so I can go ahead and delete the column. There we go. Then this one just goes straight down, so I'm not even going to worry about writing anything. This would be a 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 plus 3 is 18. 18 times 3 is 48. -21 plus 48 is 27. 27 times 3 is not a number I know off the top of my head. 81. Plus -18 would give me, oops, if I add them together on my calculator, 63. So then I would go ahead and write my final answer below. I would want to use the equation editor. If I move this box around, I can see it, so I can see what I wanted to write. So my starting exponent was 3. I'm going to count down to 2. So because my leading coefficient is a 1, I'm not writing it. I have plus 18r plus 27 plus 63, and then I divide r minus 3. And this is how I would get my answer here. Oops, I wanted that below. Whatever, that's fine. So that's how I would recommend showing your work for synthetic division on this assignment.